good, really good, not bad. I mean, really good actually. A little day off, relaxing in Charleston, North Carolina.
How's the tour going? Because I've seen the fan photos going up on the on the Facebook group, and you are
it's phenomenal. I mean, just really great. I didn't know what to expect really because we were playing a little bit earlier. Those other two bands were going out together already, and then they asked us to play with them. It's like, well, who's going to be at 6:25? And we've got like it really looks great at that time. It's really beautiful. So, and you go into the twilight, and then the sun goes down, and then it gets dark for the last little bit. So it's a whole range of things, like being in Melbourne, and there's a whole range of seasons that go on. So anyway, we had it's going great. It's real fun.
Twilight's a good time to see you, actually. I remember walking into Soundwave 10 years ago, and you were on that slot. I think it was about 5 o'clock, and sun was ready to come down, and it's good because you can kick on, or you can go back and have dinner. It's not a it works out in both ways if you want to do whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's been great just to be part of it. To be honest, and it feels very like it's such a nice atmosphere backstage. I've known Jerry for some time, but never spent that much time with him, and we became friends the last few years, see each other quite a bit here and there, and now doing this is brilliant. And I have a new appreciation for him and what his band stands for and what Ben's been up to. You know what I mean? Just like you get to watch people see who they are, how they operate. And I mean, it's as important to me personally as on stage. I mean, how people conduct themselves is always intriguing to me,
Yeah.
And it's good to see when there's nice energy backstage, and it's not really ego driven and sort of maniacal in any way. It's just it's pretty funny. It's a lot of comedians.
Well, it's nice when you do see everyone just mingling and because some festivals you see the headliner, they're in their own compound separate to the rest of the bands, and they don't want to mingle or meet with anyone. And I hate seeing that because I love seeing the band sitting down after a gig, having a meal together and having a debrief and a chat and a couple of beers. It's.
I mean, to be honest, in fairness, one of the best things about doing the festivals is who you get to hang out with, because the shows are fantastic. Wherever you play, you want every night to be the best night ever. Obviously, that's a given. But what's nice about the festivals, a lot of bands, is you can see friends and just sort of go out, have a drink with them at other times when you wouldn't have the opportunity. You know what I mean?
Congrats on the album, because we caught up before Under the Southern Stars before you came out earlier in the year, and you were saying how you're working on it. You were like, oh, it's pretty fat, it's pretty dark at places, and it certainly was.
Brilliant. So it did what it said. It did what I told you it was going to do.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Like it's impressive. It's and I think also I like how this comes out of the blocks straight away. There's no messing around, track one right in there.
Yeah, that's great. It's fun for me and what I love that about life, how amazing that is, that life is so magical. It's to be lived in fragments, because that's what it is. All these moments put together, like when we were speaking before, it hadn't really taken full shape. It was just sort of what I wanted, and it was as much theoretical as the songs. I still had to, after we'd had that conversation, follow through. And that's what I love about life, is that when you make things, or you get to a point you create a body of work, I think it's really satisfying as a sort of someone who makes things, if that's how I consider myself.
Oh, it's an extension of yourself as well. Like I could imagine when you finally submit the album and the track listing to your team, and once it's locked in, There must be some temptation there to go, you know what, maybe we could end the album differently, or maybe we can move things around in the middle.
Oh, it's a double think, don't you? Right. Double guess. The funny thing about this job is that it doesn't come with any particular training. I mean, some people opt for that and they go to school and they're smart. I'm an idiot and didn't ever go to school for it. I just, figured music as I go along. Still find it like a mysterious, beautiful sort of infinite concept. That all the potential in the world. But it's just I just like having a body of work. It really feels good as a songwriter just to sort of get another load of opinions down and committed to music. Yeah, it feels good.
It must have been also kind of hard to figure out where to head to during the post-COVID era, because it is, it's an album all about resilience and but also I guess destruction, and it's quite dark in places, and I know other bands, when they sort of put out sort of those mid-COVID to post-COVID albums, they're all very upbeat and but you nailed the sentiment there, I think, pretty well.
I brought you down. Best band in the world ever to bring you down.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, so I try not to be. The thing is for me, I'm a really positive person, and but I think that the way that I kind of wrestle with my demons and wrestle with things is to make music and make it to reflect how I feel and what I see. And I'm just really lucky to have a unit of people, whether it's the band or with Eric, who recorded us. It's just trying to keep as few and as excellent people around us as possible. So there's not so many opinions, but the opinions are pretty strong, and it's a pretty much common consensus. How the song ends up is a common consensus.
Were you do you work as a team really well? Like, or was it one of those ones where you go alone for a little bit and cut yourself off a little bit, do a lot of writing?
We have a specific system that we've used for years, and it just works to start with a little framework of me getting a few things together and then exploring that. Then after that process, invite people in, all bets are off. I'll receive music, I'll be collaborative, whatever. But I sort of start the ball rolling, and then kind of open it out. Sing other people's music, whatever. I don't have to do everything. I think it's more healthy to have it split. Great contributions from Chris and Corey, and it makes it richer. It's better. You know what I mean? They're really good. It'd be foolish to not let them be them on the record. Do you know what I mean? Stupid. So I think it's really, I love it about that. We've become a really economic, as in just no waste, pretty fierce band they are. When I play with them, and like, fierce is the best word for it. Like, it's really, Nick is drives so hard, and Chris and Corey are just sort of excellent and tight and clean and clear. Do you know what I mean? It's really like they're very precise musicians.
Were you able to demo together, or were you working sort of remotely for a little bit during this? Because traveling was a little bit tough, the back end of last year and early this year. Yeah,
this was luckily it's more fresh. This was when it was all right to travel and everyone was moving. I guess the most of this year is when it began in earnest. Like probably February, I started to get songs together. Obviously, between you and me, I've been in since December, January. Like fiddling, but sort of sat down in earnest, right? All right, so like February, and it was really good process. And then we should have our system, and everyone gets an open mic on this track, so to speak, and I think everyone's good enough that you basically try everything. There's no harm nowadays. Do you know what I mean? You can just do anything, so might as well try anything. I'm all about that.
It's a bit different being you're a dad. I mean, have you found that's changed your writing a little bit, or have you kept that separate? And you seem to have stuck to what you're famous for. You haven't really changed anything, but I've always wondered whether sometimes when you...
Yeah, no, I think the only thing I've got from my kids is just my desire to impress them, or to have them not embarrassed if they're to bring my 16-year-old son, who brought his best mate on the road with us. He came to Denver to see a show there. Flew in, we had a couple of great dinners, and I had a show in the middle of it, and as his buddy, and they're like wandering around, they got their passes, and it was just really exciting show, and it makes me happy that the shows are exciting, they're not sucky. You know what I mean? If they came to see me, it's sucky. That would be, but they come and see me, it's sort of fun and ridiculous and sort of heroic, but it's just like, it's just a really big crowd in tune with the band.
Yeah, actually, I saw a photo. It must have been end of last year, your birthday, and all your family together for the photo. It looked like you're really bloody happy, and you know,
Yeah,
I know.
every now and again. I mean, happiness is definitely, of course, like for anyone, not a constant state. Else you'd be people think you're a moron. You know?
Yeah.
But sometimes that could be the way to be. But you know what I mean? It's like everyone. I mean, that's why I think that this record, I'm proud of this record because it sort of feels like it struck a chord in the moment of what people that like this kind of music could relate to, because it's so honest, you know. And I've been through so much. It's like, it's intriguing to kind of just have all, I don't know, stuff that I write about even more interesting to myself. You know what I mean? Sort of a bit more incisive, a bit more insightful, and yeah, it's going in the right direction. So it's sort of exciting to share. You know, do a sort of a good collection of stuff. And, I mean, people in bands are ridiculous, like Needy and this one, like, you know, seeking approval and all that sort of stuff, like psychotic. It's hilarious, you know. And different members of the band have different desires. You know, there's a lead guitar style, there's a lead singer style, there's all the kind of ways that, and it's all types, you know. Of course, all the same type of people are bass players, because they're usually sort of the coolest, you know, not quite needing to be center stage, but kind of holding everything down and useless without them, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, it was interesting because I deliberately didn't find out what the singles were when I heard the album for the first time, and I just wanted to kind of make up my own mind and figure out which ones they were. And when track 1 obviously felt like a single, track 3, More Than Machines, was definitely a single, and then I sort of looked it up online and I was like, oh, there you go. It's just the strength, but also ending the album as well. Gunfight and 1,000 Years. I thought 1,000 Years was just a great way to end it. You know, it was sort of left you hang, left you. It was almost like it crosses over into another album almost. That's how I felt.
Yeah. That was the kind of, that's the landing. That's the landing track. You know, we've been on a bit of a journey, and I do like that idea. It's really specific. Everything is intentional, you know. So where the fact that song starts the record, heavy as the ocean, is, you know, it's the art of survival, and then heavy as the ocean is the sort of the sort of epilogue to it. You know, it's the sort of sums it up. Like, yeah, you know, it's all going to come at you a lot, but it's sort of, that's just part of living. And it's just fun to be out on tour and really experience people. I felt it quite a bit in Australia, but I felt quite a bit of fear at the beginning of the shows because it was so early on after the kind of pandemic, and everyone was coming out, so to speak. And it's just gotten to the point now where people can finally truly relax, you know. And so when you see 15,000 people all connected, who've all been through so much stuff, it's not just any 2 years, it's like the worst 2 years of most people's lives.
Yeah.
And the after effects, everybody's feeling now almost as bad at the time, health aside, of course, but it's like you just see it in every area of life. And so when everyone's gathered together to see music they love and you can uplift them, it's a great job.
Well, I can imagine some festivals were very nervous about you know, bands meeting backstage. I went to one festival where everyone was in little bubbles, and there were no photographers in the pit, and they had no mingling backstage. And that anxiety, I think, would actually, you know, convert to the mood on stage as well. So I'm glad Under the Southern Stars was probably a little bit more optimistic and relaxed. It was a good being back in Australia, by the way.
We got good. That was it was an amazing tour, and I got thrown at the beginning because we started in Sydney and it was pouring rain, and I was like, it's summer, and then we went off. We drove 3.5 hours to a field. I was like, there's no fields closer to the thing. And we played there, but the show was great. Every show was fantastic. And it really, really warmed up. I think most people knew after 2 or 3 shows that we were actually coming and we were doing it. People's confidence grew. And then it became very sort of summery, dreamy, some seaside towns there and stuff. It was a great tour, and was really happy to play there, and then now I come back for this record at some point.
Yeah. It was it's been a very weird time weather-wise. It's been raining the whole year pretty much. It's not normal, not typical Australian weather, but we've just got this year of rain and floods. But before you go, I want to talk about tennis because I know you love your tennis. Roger Federer retiring. You've played tennis with him, haven't you?
Yeah. Yes. And Serena and Venus just came to our show in West Palm Beach.
Great.
I was so happy. No way I saw Serena. I haven't seen her for a long time, a couple of years, and I didn't have any chance of getting hold of her. And I'd seen her end match and all that stuff. I was like, oh, I wanted to congratulate her. And then she showed up there. So it was beautiful to see them. They're incredible. But yeah, as to Roger, yeah, what an incredible career, incredible, one of the greatest sportsmen of all time.
Yeah, we're all crying with him.
Of any sport.
Well, he's just a gentleman, just an absolute great ambassador, and very good at what he did. So I did want to ask you about that because I think as all tennis fans we're all very sad to eventually see him retire. But mate, I know you got to go, so it was great seeing you again, and can't wait for the album to be out this week. Congratulations, and we will see you out here very, very soon. Gav, good to see you.
Thanks, mate. All the best.